Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to tackle a huge topic that pretty much runs the modern internet, Kubernetes. We're going to break it all down into simple, easy to understand parts. Let's get right into it.
So, have you ever heard words like pods, nodes, and services and just felt completely lost? Trust me, you are not alone. Kubernetes can feel like this super complex web of jargon when you first look at it.
But hey, don't worry about it. My goal right now is to cut through all of that confusion. By the end of this, I promise you'll have a really solid handle on the basic building blocks that make Kubernetes tick.
So, first things first, what even is Kubernetes? Well, at its core, it's a system designed to manage all of your application containers, especially when you have a ton of them.
I love this analogy. Think of it like an orchestra conductor. You've got all these different containers, right? Instead of you trying to manage every single one by hand, Kubernetes, or K8s as you'll often hear it called, steps in and orchestrates everything, making sure it all works in perfect harmony. It brings order to what would otherwise be chaos.
And really, the key word here is automation. Kubernetes takes over all those boring, repetitive tasks. It handles deploying your apps, scaling them when traffic spikes, and just generally managing their health, all without you having to lift a finger. It's like having a super smart automated engineer on your team 24/7.
Okay, so to really get how Kubernetes works its magic, we have to start small. I mean, with the most basic, fundamental building block of the entire system, the pod.
A pod is literally the smallest thing you can create and manage in Kubernetes. And here's the best way to think about it. A pod isn't the container itself, but it's like a little wrapper that holds one or more containers. This wrapper is the basic unit that Kubernetes actually works with.
Now, inside this wrapper live your application containers. And what's really critical is that all the containers inside the same pod share the same network. It's like the roommates on the same machine. And they can also share storage. This setup makes them perfect for working closely together.
Okay, cool. So we've got this little package, this pod, that's holding our app. But where does it actually run? Where does it physically live and do its work?
And the answer is nodes. Pods run on nodes. You can just think of nodes as the actual computers, the real workhorses of your whole Kubernetes setup.
A node is really just a server. This could be a virtual machine in the cloud, like an EC2 instance on AWS, or it could be a physical server humming away in a data center. It's the actual machine providing the CPU and memory where your apps do their thing.
Now, every single one of these worker nodes has a few critical pieces of software running on it. There's the kubelet. That's the little agent that's always listening for orders from the main Kubernetes brain. Then you've got a container runtime. That's the engine, like Docker, that actually runs the containers. And finally, kubeproxy, which handles all the networking magic.
All right, but now we've hit a pretty big problem. See, pods, they're meant to be temporary. They can be created, destroyed, and replaced at any moment. And every time a new pod pops up, it gets a brand new IP address. So how in the world is anyone supposed to connect to your app if its address is constantly changing?
Well, Kubernetes has a brilliant solution for this, and it's called a service. You can think of a service as the stable, permanent front door for your application. So what a service does is it sits in front of a whole group of pods and gives them one single unchanging IP address and a DNS name. It acts like a smart traffic cop. It automatically knows which pods are healthy and routes traffic to them. So even if the pods in the background are constantly being created and destroyed, that front door, the services address, never ever changes.
Now, there are a few different types of services for different situations. Some are just for internal communication inside the cluster. But for letting the outside world talk to your app, the most common type is the load balancer. It automatically tells your cloud provider like AWS or Google Cloud to create a real load balancer to send traffic to your application. It's all handled for you.
Okay, let's do a quick recap. We've got pods, and they're running on nodes. A service is making them easy to access. But how do we actually manage the application? How do we handle updates or tell it to scale up? Well, that is where deployments come into play. A deployment is where you get to describe your perfect world. You basically tell Kubernetes, hey, I want 3 identical copies of my app container, and they should all be running version 1.2. A deployment's job is to make that happen, and just as importantly, keep it that way. It's also what lets you do those slick, seamless rolling updates without any downtime. And if an update goes wrong, bam, you can roll back in an instant.
So you might be wondering, how does a deployment actually enforce this state? Well, it has a little helper working behind the scenes called a ReplicaSet. You can think of the replica set as the enforcer. Its one and only job is to make sure that the number of pods you ask for is always running. If a pod crashes, the replica set sees it and immediately spins up a new one. It's totally self-healing.
All right, this is great. Our app is running, it's scalable, it's resilient, but what about all its configuration? Things like database URLs or API keys. You should never hard code that stuff into your container images.
Kubernetes gives us two awesome tools for this. For any non-sensitive configuration, like a URL or a theme setting, you use something called a ConfigMap. But, and this is super important, for anything sensitive, passwords, API tokens, you name it, you absolutely have to use a secret. Secrets are stored in a more secure way within the cluster, making them the only right choice for anything confidential.
Phew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. Pods, nodes, services, deployments, all of it. Now, let's put all the puzzle pieces together and see how they create the big picture. So here's how it all flows. You start with a deployment to define how you want your app to look. That deployment creates a replica set to make sure you always have the right number of pods. Then, Kubernetes schedules those pods onto the available worker nodes. A service provides that stable entry point so people can reach your app. And finally, ConfigMaps and secrets get injected into your pods to give them the configuration and private data they need to run.
And there you have it. Kubernetes can seem really complex at first, but once you understand how these fundamental pieces, pods, nodes, services, and deployments all fit together, the entire system starts to make a whole lot of sense. These are the core tools for building some truly scalable and resilient applications.
Hey, if this explainer helped you finally get a grip on Kubernetes, do me a huge favor and hit that like button, and maybe share it with a friend. I also really want to know what you want to learn about next. Comment below. Should I cover Docker, CI/CD, or Terraform? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you